Little Wonder by Onomonopia. Chapter 1 Voices of the Dead. Chilling cold of the blackness surrounded her made Sunset grab her shoulders with her arms, shivering as she gazed around to the void of darkness. No matter where she looked, all she could see was the darkness, a darkness that soaked into her inner soul. Hello? Is anyone there? She called into the blackness, gripping her jacket more tightly as she started to walk forward into the unknown. While feeling like something was watching her, she spun her head around, only to find the darkness staring back. With nervous eyes, she took a step after step, her body chilling under the blackness. Just as when she was beginning to believe that she was trapped in eternal darkness, 6 pillars of light burst from the shadows before her. Her eyes reflected the brilliance of that light that shone in the darkness, while she gazed upon the images within, images of friends she knew all too well. My friends! Within each of the lights was a stained glass that held each of her friends in within them. Applejack, Rarity, Pinky, Rainbow, Fluttershy, and Twilight all appeared in majestic fashion within the glass, giving up a warm and powerful light that seemed to fight back against the darkness. What does these images mean? Why am I seeing the 6 of them? Because the 6 of you will fall. Sunset snapped around as she gazed into the darkness, squinting her eyes as she tried to find out who had spoken. Who's there? Show yourself! The owner of the voice did not reveal themselves. Instead, cackled in a manner that chilled Sunset far more than shadows ever had. Sunset blurted out, I'm warning you, I have magic with me. Magic? Your magic is nothing to me. And is nothing to them either. The voice once more spoke, followed by a cracking sound that made Sunset turn back around to face the stained images. All of them had small cracks growing within them, each slowly spread throughout the pictures. For I have seen what this world will become. It is doomed, and you will be the one to doom it. No, that's not who I am anymore, Sunset yelled into the darkness. Yet the moment she spoke, the cracks in the stained glass grew wider. She felt the eyes' presence on her once more, and shivered under the stare, almost certain that whatever was watching her was right beside her. No, you are not. Yet you misinterpret my words. You will doom this world because you are weak, pathetic, worthless. The voice spoke to her, chilling her through her very soul. Just as you have failed your teacher in the past, no matter, now you shall fail your friends who are foolish enough to put their trust in a failure. And it's the same story no matter where I go. I am not a failure. Sunset spoke with bitter resentment in her voice, yet all her words did was draw forth another cackle from the ancient voice. Celestia, Twilight, all of this world, you have failed so many times. Honestly, this world will be far better off without you. Shut up! She whispered as she clenched her hands over her ears. Better off gone. Shut up! Better off dead. Shut up! Sunset fell to her knees, her whole body shaking as the cold seeped into her very soul. She gazed up at her friend's images for strength and comfort, but to her horror the images were cracked beyond repair. She lifted out a hand to them, yet the moment she did so the images shattered to thousands of pieces that rained down upon her. Sunset shielded herself with her arms, yet the glass did not cut. She glanced down at her arms to see that she was fine, before slowly standing up, feeling alone once more. Yes, I'm curious to see what that would be like. Sickening horror clung to Sunset's soul as she finally knew where the voice was speaking from. It was coming from right behind her. Curious to see how this world would progress without you in it. A hand wrapped itself around Sunset's throat from behind, preventing her from crying out as she was slowly lifted into the air. She clawed at the cold, metallic fingers with all of her might, but he didn't seem to even register her blows. She flailed as best as she could, kicking her with all her might to strike it into the air. As the grip of the fingers tightened around her throat, everything around Sunset began to go black, while she felt herself slipping away. Ah! Sunset screamed as she shot straight up, staring straight into the other side of the room, with eyes wider than dinner plates. Her heart was beating with such speed and force that it seemed like it was trying to punch itself to her chest. When the realization that she was awake slowly dawned upon the girl, she looked at her hands that trembled like leaves in the wind to her throat. What? Was that a dream? She wondered. When she placed her hands near her throat, she could still feel the metal fingers that had grabbed her, still hear the words that had dug into her very soul, bringing her fears back to life. Sunset then glanced around her room and shivered once more. Drawing the covers of her bed up to her, she wrapped them around herself while she remained sitting on her bed, her terrified eyes clenching at every shadow as she waited in cold sweat, afraid to return to sleep, afraid that the voice would be waiting for her in her dreams. Hades knew that if he were to ask a mortal which of the gods he was the least fearful, a majority of them would say him. That as the ruler of the underworld, he must have little to no fear of death or the prospect of actually dying. Yet, even as he sat upon his throne of skulls and bones, with his fingers interlocked, gazing across the fields of the damned that were always within his vision, he could not but feel the thinnest part of infinite fear at the sounds of two fists slamming into the door to his throne with all their might. He listened carefully to each impact, able to hear metal bend with each blow, but then heard the roaring of a dog, followed by silence. He turned his throne towards the door, wondering if Silver's had deepened enough to draw out the intruder, before the doors tore out their hinges, as his guard dog was hurled through them. Silver sailed over the head of the black-armored god, and landed with enough force to shake all the underworld in one of the fields behind the god.
Well, I see that you know how to make an entrance.
Hades said with little surprise as he could, when he turned to face the intruder. Standing in the frame of what had until a moment ago been the entrance to his throne room was a woman that glared at him with eyes that blazed with wrath that he only seen his eldest brother.
I am glad to see you again, Diana.
Diana slowly began to march towards the god of the dead, reaching behind her black hair to draw forth a blade that crackled as if it had been forged in lightning itself. Her red and blue outfit was covered in the saliva of Hades, his guard dog, and his knuckles were bloody by those that had stood in her way. Yet despite the fury in her face and the scene of her sword, Hades could not help but be drawn to the lasso that shone like gold upon her side. Yet reason took it once again, and he lifted his eyes to her blazing face, which was now only a few feet away from him.
Can I help you, my niece? It is not often that you...
Hades moved his head to the side as her blade embedded itself into the back of his throne, where his head was just a moment before.
Diana, mind your manners. You are in my land now, and...
Once more Hades was cut off, as Diana's fist drove itself to his face, striking the god with enough force to hurl him down to his throne and across the white floor of his throne room. Do not bother to soothe my wrath, Hades. You know all too well why I'm down here. Pfft! Diana spat with venom as she removed her sword with what remained of Hades' throne, and lunged towards the god, driving one of her boots that was as crimson as the blood on her hands into his chest. Points off for using the C-word. Despite being a god, even Hades was pushed back down under the force of the Amazon that glared down at him with his sword in his throat. Now answer my question, Hades. Perhaps you could get out of this without too many holes in your body. Why did you kill Steve Trevor? Hades' answer was a chuckle, before fancying a swirl of smoke and fire, appearing beside Diana a moment later. She spun around and slashed with her sword, only for it to be intercepted by a blade composed of bone and death itself. Undeterred by the weapon, Diana swung at Hades once more, only to have her weapon deflected. He slashed down at Diana, yet with one of the bracelets on her wrist she deflected the blade that could cleave souls with ease.
Diana, you know it's pointless to fight me, especially in my
Another right hook by the Amazon princess knocked Hades' words right out of his mouth, causing him to stagger backwards. A snarl escaped the god's lips as he ran his finger along his mouth to find traces of blood. When the Amazon lunged down again, he vanished under a vortex of smoke. Steve Trevor. He's asked with a smile when he appeared across the room from Diana, who rotated towards the god with an arm brought back to throw her sword. Yet before she could let the blade fly, Hades snapped his fingers and caused a blue orb of light to descend from above. Which he plucked out of the air and rested in the palm of his hand.
Yes, the soldier you have befriended. Here he is, Diana. His soul at least. So I say this, put that sword of yours away, or I'll make him suffer torment that a mortal can only dream of.
Hades could still see the fury blazing in the depths of her soul. But slowly, the Amazon lifted her blade and seized it behind her once more. Hades then dropped his bone blade into the darkness below him, before gently throwing Steve Trevor's soul back into the sea of souls that swam above them. Speak quickly, Hades, before I decide to tear your tongue from your skull, Diana said with a snarl at the god, while she kept herself ready for any surprise attack.
I killed him, Diana, because I knew that would get you down here and get you to see me.
Hades said as he began to explain.
Because I need your help. Yet the only way you would ever help me, despite us being family, is if I had something you wanted. So, I'm going to solve one of your friends.
And you wonder why I don't trust you. I should end you here and...
Patience, Diana. At least let me finish. See, I discovered recently that there are items in a far-off world that possess incredible power. A power I want. Yet, I would not be able to claim them, as I am not a being you would choose to hold them. However, the world that originally held the items lost them, because their wielders sacrificed them to save their world. But by good fortune, I recently discovered another world, one not unlike ours, which houses the same power. That is where I want you to go. Go and find me those items.
My answer is no. I know you well enough to know that any item of power you want can only be disastrous for myself and the world.
Listen, Diana. I know you have no reason to trust me, and you're completely right to do so. I swear that the only reason I want these items is to increase the underworld, with so many souls entering into it daily, not helped by those of your Justice League fails to save, has grown overcrowded. Souls that wail and are lost in the castles in the underworld have no place to take comfort. But with these items, I'll be able to expand my empire to fit the new souls.
All I seek is to help those who have lost their lives
and find rest down here. Surely you would not deny them that, would you?
My answer is still no, Diana said before drawing her blade once more and advancing upon the god. You are a liar, and your words are empty. Now prepare yourself!
But there is not a way you can tell if I'm lying or not.
Diana stopped in her tracks, eyes narrowing at the god before she seized her blade once more and drew forth her lasso, twirling it once and letting it fly. The lasso wrapped around Hades' neck, causing a light to shone with the light of truth to bathe the god of the dead. What do you seek these items for? She asked him.
I seek them to expand my underworld, so I can host the new souls that are coming in.
Hades replied. Diana narrowed her eyes before she backed away from her god.
See, Diana, I'm telling the truth. And since the lasso is still upon me, you know that I speak the truth when I say that if you get these 6 items from me, I will return the soul Steve Trevor to you. No tricks or backstabbing.
Diana's eyes narrowed while she pondered over the god's offer, knowing that he was not the one to be trusted, but also knew that under the lasso's power, he, despite being a god, had no choice but to answer her truthfully. She then gazed off into the fields of souls, seeing all the unfortunate souls that were trapped in suffering because he had no place to go. And in the face of such pain, even the wrath of Diana was soothed slightly. Is there anything else I should know of these items? Diana eventually asked with a cold stare, causing Hades to smile as he snapped his finger, caused a file to appear out of darkness. Diana raised a confused eyebrow at the mortal tool before Hades handed it over to her, his smile growing as she took it.
All you need to know will be in there.
He said truthfully as Diana kept the file in one hand, while the other was tight on the lasso. Hades snapped his fingers again, and created a vortex of multitude of colors behind him. Upon reaching where this portal takes you, you can read it. Once there, you'll need to find the items or where they have taken refuge. Once you have them, simply pray for me and I'll appear. Also, I have set some things up ahead of time in the other world, so do not be surprised if there are others expecting you when you get there. So you knew I would agree with you to aid you all this time? Very well, Hades. I will play your game for now. Diana then tightened the lasso around the god's throat. With a yank, dragged him over to her, where she could glare into his dead eyes, with the fury of the gods flashing in hers. But know that if you betray me, you will wish that Zeus had never freed you from your father's stomach. Diana then freed Hades from the lasso and walked past him, leaving the god to rub his throat with a snarl, while Diana placed her lasso upon her side once more. She approached the portal with both curiosity and caution within her, before turning back to Hades with one last glare. Then, she took a step forward and vanished into the portal, leaving Hades alone in his domain once more. Thank you, Diana, he said with a small chuckle as he snapped his fingers, and the portal closed behind her. I can always count on family when I need help. Chapter 2. The Other World. The breeze of the early morning freed Diana from the putrid horror that had been the underworld, informing her that she was in a different location before she even opened her eyes. She took in a deep breath in anticipation of what was to come before she opened her eyes, only to find, to her amusement, that she was standing on a sidewalk next to rows of houses. This is the land that Hades needed me to go to, that he couldn't? She asked as she gazed upon the foreign world, one that looked very similar to hers. She heard a gasp to turn her head to see an elderly woman and child standing across the road from her, the elderly woman giving Diana a glare while covering the child's eyes.
Young people these days?
Diana heard the old woman grumble before she dragged her grandchild off, getting Diana to look down at her outfit with a shrug. It's accepted on my Earth. Diana turned behind her to spy a massive high school towering above the rest of the houses. She raised an eyebrow at the sheer size of the high school, which she discovered was named Canterlot High after peering at a sign not too far away. Quite large for a high school. This world's a little strange, but I've seen weirder. I wonder if they have heroes here. Diana asked herself after getting another strange glance, for people that she was beginning to notice were more colorful than the people of her planet. She shrugged it off before remembering the file. She brought it up to her face and opened. Wait a moment. This is an application? She asked with sheer disbelief at what she saw. It was indeed an application, and behind that was an ID, of information Diana knows was entirely true. This is what you sent me here for, Hades? So I could be a teacher? Diana glanced at the school across the road, trying to put more pieces together. And that's where you want me to teach? So that means those items you seek are within there? And that is how I read it as well, Diana. Diana lifted her head to the sky, spotting an owl who was pure as white as snow. Diana held out an arm so the owl could perch itself upon her, smiling at the creature as it lighted upon her bracelet. The more important question is, what does Hades truly need with these items? You believe he didn't tell me the truth back in the underworld, Athena? Diana asked the owl, who shook her head with a furrowed brow. Not in the least. With your lasso upon him, he was forced to tell you some of the plan, but I would not put it past him to tell you a truth that was not a whole. Be on your guard, Diana. There doesn't seem to be much here that I need to guard myself against. Diana muttered as a few more people got at her outfit, getting a sigh about her before she kicked off with her legs to hurl her off into the sky. The angle was perfect, and she landed on the other side of the school, making sure no one was watching before she unclasped her lasso from her hip. She then cracked the lasso like a whip to extend it to its full length, before she started to twirl it around her, causing spirals of magical energy to vortex around her body. Her Amazonian garb was quickly changed out to a blue suit, while the magic caused her blade to vanish. And why am I thinking of the Wonder Woman movie right now? Oh, because the Wonder Woman movie was an awesome flick, and I really I can't wait until I get the DVD. And for the final touch, she muttered before twirling her lasso once more, creating a pair of glasses similar to the ones Clark wore. She placed them on her face. She glanced them now, seeing nearly all of her wondrous sight had been covered up, save for her bracelets, lasso, which she tucked in her jacket. There, now I blend in. You certainly do match the attire that the mortals wear. Athena added with a nod. But what brings you here, Goddess Athena? Diana asked as she walked out from the side of the school, gazing at the massive statue of a horse that stood near the entrance. Her eyes narrowed as she gazed upon it, her body telling her that there was something strange about it. I am certain that you would not unfollow me without a good reason. Your wisdom is as sound as ever, Princess. I followed you here because I do not trust Hades nor the plans he has. The owl responded while her head slowly turned to look around her. Any time in the past where Hades has sought a weapon or magic of sorts that would increase his power, it always ended with us having to deal with him. Then why doesn't Zeus or one of the other gods simply stop him before he begin? You know the gods, Diana. You know the lack of wisdom that most of them have. Athena replied while shaking her head. Zeus is far too preoccupied at the moment with Hercules, who seems to be growing stronger. And Poseidon is locked in combat with your fellow Justice League member over the control of the strange meteor that fell in the ocean. And the others simply don't care. If the problem doesn't concern them, then they tend to ignore it. You know, that's probably my biggest complaint about the entire movie is killing the gods off, because we don't get to see Wonder Woman interact with the gods, and I'm afraid we won't be able to have a live action movie version of Talents of the Gods, which was a pretty dang awesome Wonder Woman story. Thank you. Once again, the gods avoid the affairs of mortals. Diana spat with some spite, before bowing slightly to the owl on her arm. Most of them, at least. I am grateful that you chose to aid me. It was a wise thing to do. However, this is not my true form. This is a servant I have sent with you so we can communicate. I am still I'm back on Olympus, trying to be the voice of reason. Good luck with that. Diana then lifted the file once more and gazed at the new information she assumed Hades had set up for her, nodding when she saw that she had been given her name as Diana W. Prince. At least that's accurate, she thought before noticing a small card attached with a paper clip. You have an appointment with the principal at 10 when you arrive. Do not be late. Do not worry, she is a fool. You'll have no issues getting a job, Diana read, making her eyes narrow further. Oh, as a side note, guys, who here wants to see Diana have a rumble with Kratos at least once? What I fail to understand is, why does Simp Hades not simply come here himself? Even if he cannot take the magic, surely he would not dare to leave a gathering around to anyone but himself. That is because there is powerful magic here, one that can even keep the gods out, Athena explained to Diana. Unless one from this world tears the magic barrier apart, even we cannot enter this realm. I could barely speak through my familiar, and even then my powers are greatly restrained. How did I make it through? Perhaps the barrier sensed your noble soul and allowed you passage. Perhaps. But now what do I do? My advice would be to play along with what he has planned, Athena spoke, at least until you uncover what Hades is truly after. Yes, but I may be a warrior and ambassador for my lands, but a teacher I am not. At least not this kind of teacher, Diana said, voicing her concerns as she gazed up at the school once more. Even though the principal may be a fool, students will be able to see through me after it is made clear I do not know what I'm doing. Fear not, Diana. This is why I am here with you. I have observed humanity ever since we came into being. I could guide you through the pains of being a teacher of mortals. Athena stared at the princess before turning her owl head towards the clock tower above the entrance. And that clock there is correct. Your appointment is less than 5 minutes. I suggest you head inside. Diana followed the god's wisdom by heading into the entrance, pushing open the doors to find the hallways practically deserted, aside from a few janitors that got there, and their owls who walked by. Diana did not find any other people within the halls. I believe the students are on what they call a summer break, Athena said, having moved from Diana's arm to her shoulder to free up her limbs. A map along the wall revealed the location of the principal's office to the princess, and memorized the location before heading in its direction. Diana did take a little time to gaze at the walls and rooms as she walked through the halls, occasionally spying a student or two that was within a room. Yet as the time for an appointment drew closer, Diana found her stomach increasing as she grew closer to the office. Finally, she muttered aloud upon reaching the door with the words Principal Celestia upon them. She reached out her hand for the handle, only for the door to swing open from within, and a person who walked out ran straight to Diana. Diana didn't budge. Her hand set out and grabbed the girl to keep her from falling. Diana took the girl in an instant, noticing her red and yellow hair that burned like a bright flame. But then her eyes glanced down to her face to see exhaustion slowly on her face, with the underside of her eyes baggy and black. Careful, Diana told her once she had pulled the girl back to her feet. Though from the way she swayed, Diana was uncertain she should remain standing. The girl nodded slowly, before rubbing her eyes and walking towards the exit, leaving Diana to watch her with narrowed eyes. Diana then shook her head as a voice told her to enter. Well, she did so to find two people waiting for her. The first of them was tall and regal, of hair that seemed to shine with the colors of the sky. She smiled warmly at Diana and motioned for her to take the seat, while the other, a woman with hair as beautiful as the cosmos, gazed at the owl on Diana's shoulder with a raised eyebrow. Hello, Miss Prince, Principal Celestia said with a smile as warm as the sun, as she extended a hand towards Diana, one that Diana shook smiling in reply. I have been looking over the information that you sent in a few days ago, and I must say your resume is indeed impressive. I am glad to hear you say that, but please, call me Diana, Diana said with a smile, her eyes watching the pair of them for anything out of the ordinary. Well, Diana, you're quite the active teacher, spending years in Greece learning all about their history before moving to the States to help teach people about peace. It's all incredible, Celestia said with an approving look as she gazed at the file before her. Hades, you are despicable, Diana thought with a smirk, now understanding what the god had done. Why do you have an owl with you? The other lady asked Diana, turned her attention towards her. Celestia rose from her chair. I am so sorry, Diana. I forgot to introduce you. This is my sister Luna, who is the vice principal. Celestia introduced as Luna shot out a hand that Diana also shook. But, as there is no real title for two principals, most of the students just call her Miss Luna. Pleased to meet you. As for the owl, it was believed in Greek culture that a baby owl was a symbol of Athena, goddess of wisdom. Diana explained why the owl hooted. That is adorable. So I carry this one with me in hopes that Athena will share her wisdom with me. So far, it seems to be working. Celestia chuckled politely at Diana's words, while Luna simply raised another eyebrow. But in a moment, a more serious look shone on Celestia's face. Well, I'll see that you are devoted to your work. But you're also lucky, as our previous history teachers have called in to say you'll not be able to teach this year. Actually, he taught the same kind of history that you studied about. What a coincidence. Diana smiled outwardly at the coincidence, but inwardly, she promised she would look into the teacher and make sure Hades hadn't done anything to warrant his disappearance. Celestia spent another moment in silence, going over Diana's file, occasionally making a remark aloud. Trained gymnast. That's interesting. Proficient in other languages. And all these letters from people that you've helped, Celestia muttered, making Diana seethe inwardly, while wondering how the god had gotten her hands upon her things. Well, I'm sold. Your resume is amazing. You seem like quite the capable person. I like that. Thank you, Miss Celestia. Oh, please, just Celestia. Celestia said with a laugh as she stood up. Diana doing the same as they shook hands once more. "One moment, please," Lena interjected, turning Diana's attention towards her. "I have a question for you, Diana. Why do you want to teach here? What brought you to our school?" "A god asked me to," Diana said with a smile, as the other two thought she was joking. Diana then took on a more serious expression as she thought about her answer for a moment. "I want to help the younger generation. I want to help them avoid going down roads like the people of the past did. I want to help them to discover themselves and help them improve while also being able to help them on the wrong path. I want to help them shine." A small smile crossed Luna's face at Diana's words, and a silent nod informed Diana she had impressed the lady. "Alright, Diana. Classes start tomorrow," Celestia informed Diana, getting a surprise hoot from the owl. Celestia giggled at the owl before continuing. "You'll be teaching 4 classes tomorrow, with the first starting at 7:30. Please get here early so we can introduce you to the other teachers." "Do not worry. I shall be here," Diana promised. "Also, feel free to look around the school before you leave, so you can learn what everything is," Celestia said, as she herself remembered. Diana nodded once more before bowing slightly to the both of them. "They both seem nice," Diana said to Athena once she was back in the hallways, wandering around then while noticing that more students had arrived. "I now see why Hades called Celestia a fool. That's not how most teachers are hired." Question from the peanut gallery. How's that a problem? Um, I don't see what's so different about the hiring process. She took her in, looked up her credentials. I'm not seeing much of a fool here. Her background checked out. Her information checked out. It's and her personality checked out. It's why my school system didn't hire me. Um, Athena, did you hit your head going across dimensional barriers? Athena grumbled as her feathers puffed up. "Perhaps things are different in this world," Diana said as she sought to allow a large group of students to walk with her, taking a moment to glance at them. Some wore strange clothes. Others dressed similar to people she had seen on Earth. Even one girl wore a cowboy hat. "I have noticed it since I first arrived. Things here feel softer than they do in our world." "I agree, wherever this world is. Did you feel that?" Both the owl and Diana's eyes narrowed as each of them felt something their godly senses allowing them to sense a powerful magic that seemed to be coming from the crowd of students. Diana pondered a lot of moments, and she should try to find the source of it, but at a brief moment it was gone, leaving both her and the owl to take a look of concern. "So, now we know Hades was telling some of the truth. There is powerful magic here." Athena spoke with cautious words. "Yes, and I have to find it." Her thoughts about magic were interrupted when one of the students noticed the owl on Diana's shoulder, causing the girl to rush up to her and beg her to be able to touch it. Diana agreed, although Diana did not. Soon dozens of students were touching or looking for the bird of wisdom that tried in vain to get away. But while they focused on the owl, Diana focused on the students, wondering what Hades really wanted with the kids in the school. "It can't be good, whatever it is. So I have to keep them safe while finding these items," Diana promised as she smiled at her students. "Because starting tomorrow, they are my students, and I hope that they are ready to learn."